15 things quilt shop owners wish more of us knew. Hi everyone, I'm Mary from Joyful and Mary Quilting, and today's video is a little different, but so important, especially if you love your local quilt shop as much as I do. With shop hop season in full swing, I'm going to share with you a few of the unspoken quilters etiquette rules, the do's and don'ts that quilt shop owners and staff really wish more of us knew. I reached out and I asked them directly, and today I'm going to share real scenarios based on their actual experiences. Once you hear them, you'll totally understand why these tips matter. So before we get started, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of our quilting tips and our tutorials and our fun content. And if you're interested in the pattern for the quilt behind me, it's called Embracing Our Scraps, and the link to the pattern is in the description. Now don't worry, this is not a shame fest. Maybe you've done one or two of these things without really realizing the impact. Honestly, I have too. So that's why this video exists. It's to offer some gentle reminders and simple ways we can all be more thoughtful, kind, and supportive customers. So I'm going to walk you through each real life scenario, share a better alternative, and then I'm going to explain why it matters. If you're a shop owner yourself, please feel free to add your own stories in the comments or email mary@joyfulandmaryquilting.com. I'd love to feature them in a follow-up video. So remember, quilt shops are so much more than stores. They're classrooms, they're sources of inspiration, they're places for community and connection. They are truly the heart of our quilting world. So let's help them thrive by being the kind of quilters they're always happy to welcome through the door. So stick around for all 15 tips and let me know in the comments which ones surprised you, which ones hit close to home, or which ones you've actually witnessed in action. So let's get started. Number 1, taking photos in a quilt shop without asking for the shop owner's permission. So here's the scenario. A customer walked into the quilt shop, pulled out her phone, and sneakily took pictures of a wall quilt and several bolts of fabric. You know, it really appeared as though she was planning out her next quilt, but she never bought anything. No pattern, no fabric, no quilting supplies, nothing. She just left. You know, the store owner said she felt violated even though not a word was exchanged. So do this instead. It is completely normal to see a quilt in a shop and want to remember the layout or the fabric choices for later. Maybe you've already purchased the pattern or you're still deciding. In either case, the respectful thing to do is to ask. A simple, would it be okay if I take a photo for inspiration, really goes a long way. It shows courtesy to both the designer and the shop owner, and most of the time they'll appreciate being asked. And if it's not a copyright violation, they may even say yes. So why does this matter? Many quilt shops display samples made from copyrighted patterns, and taking photos without their permission can violate those copyrights. Even if that's not your intent, snapping a photo without asking, especially if you're trying to be discreet or sneakily taking that photo, it can come across as dishonest. It sends the message to those around you that you might be planning to copy the design without buying the pattern, which is really unfair to both the designer and the shop owner. So respecting boundaries and simply asking first helps preserve trust, and it supports the people who create and share these beautiful designs. Number 2, photographing the end of the bolt information in order to buy cheaper online. Okay, so here's the scenario. This is from a shop owner who said she observed 2 customers that were obviously friends, and they were entering her quilt shop during shop hop season. One of the friends grabbed her phone, took a picture of that manufacturer's information on the end of the cardboard insert of the bolt, and then she remarked to her friend, "These prices are so high, I'll just find it online later." Do this instead. Using the shop as a free internet search engine without buying anything can really put the shops out of business. So if you prefer to shop online, but boldly window shopping at a quilt shop and then shopping online does nothing to support your local quilt shop. If you're just not sure if you want to make a purchase, that's totally understandable. If you want to remember what you set aside, writing the information down is really a good idea. You can always ask the staff for help if you're planning to come back later. And you know what? They may even hold the bolt of fabric for you. So why does this matter? Quilt shop owners and staff work very hard to display fabrics according to manufacturer, color, theme, etc. And it is really discouraging to staff who spend their time stocking and showcasing these beautiful fabrics only to have to restock the bolts of fabric you pulled, knowing you had no intention of buying any of them. You may think the store owner didn't notice, but she did. You may think everyone does it, but they don't. Number 3. Letting children run unsupervised in the quilt shop. Okay, so here's the scenario. A mom brought her children aged probably about 5 and 7 years old with her to the quilt shop. As she browsed the fabrics, the patterns, the kids were running through the aisles around the fabrics and the displays, and they were hiding under the tables. Of course, mom was shopping. She didn't even notice what was going on. And then it was bound to happen. They knocked over a thread rack, and you can only imagine the mess that made. No one got hurt, which was a miracle, but the expensive thread display was damaged, and the staff spent the rest of the day chasing down spools of thread that managed to roll to various corners of the store. So, do this instead. Keep your children close to you. You may ask the staff if there's a place where they can sit quietly and read or color or play with a toy that they brought with them while you shop. Why does this matter? Quilt shops are filled with delicate displays, sharp tools, and expensive materials. Unsupervised children can unintentionally cause damage or get hurt. Keeping kids close not only protects them, but it shows respect for the shop, the staff, and really the shopping experience of others. Number 4, snipping fabric without permission. Okay, so here's the scenario. A customer browsed through the shop and found a fabric that she liked. So she casually pulled a pair of scissors from her purse and she went on to clip a small piece from the bolt without asking. When she was approached, she explained it was just to take home and match. The shop owner shared that years ago, the staff might offer a small snippet to help with matching, but really those days are largely gone. So do this instead. If you need to see how a fabric matches something at home, ask the staff. Many shops will offer a small swatch or allow you to purchase the minimum cut, usually either 1/8 of a yard or 1/4 of a yard. It really is a respectful way to get what you need without damaging the fabric. So why does that matter? Cutting fabric without permission ruins part of the bolt, and it makes it harder to sell. Even a small snip can affect how it's displayed or how it's measured, and this is considered damage. Always ask first. Number 5, ignoring the no photos signs. Okay, so here's the scenario. This one, when it was reported to me, was not a one-time incident. I was told it happens regularly. Even with clear signs on the door and on the counter, some customers still take photos of displayed quilts. They shouldn't do that. They've been asked not to. Do this instead. Follow the posted policies. If a shop asks that no photos be taken, honor that request. So why does that matter? Those quilts, first of all, may represent exclusive patterns, kits, or even class content that the shop is protecting. When you ignore the signs, this disrespects the shop's efforts and intellectual property. When you visit, supporting their rules supports their business. Number 6, you're in a quilt shop and you start talking about other shops' sales. Okay, so here's the scenario. During a busy shop hop, while staff worked hard to help customers, one shopper loudly pointed out that another store had a better deal on the same item someone in line was buying. They made sure that everyone could hear. So, do this instead. Keep conversations positive and focused on the shop that you're in. If you want to compare prices, do it privately and respectfully. So why does that matter? You know, comments like this, especially when you're in a shop, it really creates an awkward and uncomfortable atmosphere for both the staff and the customers. You know, it really can come off as disrespectful to the business you're visiting, and it diminishes the efforts they've made to serve you. Number 7, critiquing others' fabric choices or opinions. Okay, so here's the scenario. While a shop owner was helping a customer select fabrics for a project, another shopper walked by, glanced at the choices, and bluntly said, "That combo is awful." That's not really a very nice thing to say. Do this instead. If a fabric choice isn't your style, simply keep it to yourself. If someone asks for your opinion, that's a different story, and you can always offer kind and constructive feedback without being mean or rude. Why does this matter? Quilting, as we all know, is very personal and creative. What speaks to one person may not speak to another. Unkind comments can really discourage others and take the joy out of the process. Kindness fosters a welcoming community. Criticism without invitation does exactly the opposite. Number 8, asking for deep discounts or haggling over prices. Here's the scenario. A customer at the checkout asks the clerk, "Can you knock 20% off of this? I'll buy more if you do." Well, what's she going to say? She was in a very awkward position. Do this instead. Respect the shop prices. You may be budget conscious, which we all are, so you can always ask, where are the clearance items? Or do you offer any loyalty perks for regular shoppers? Why does that matter? Keep in mind that quilt shops don't have big box profit margins. They price fairly to stay open, and we need to be considerate of that. Number 9, leaving a mess of fabric piles. Here's the scenario. A customer pulled, she thought, 10 to 12 bolts from around the shop and laid them all out to consider. When she was done, she left them scattered across the tables. Some of them were opened up. She didn't refold anything. She didn't let staff know. She just walked away and went home. She didn't buy anything. So do this instead. If you've pulled several bolts, hand them to a staff member or stack them neatly before leaving the area. Staff usually returns bolts to specific locations, and a tidy pile just makes that much easier. So why does that matter? A clean, organized shop helps everyone have a better shopping experience, and it really shows respect for the staff. If bolts are left scattered and open, especially in the back of the store or in quieter areas, the staff may not even know they're there. New customers come in, may assume the shop is messy or disorganized, not realizing it's the result of another shopper's actions. Neatness reflects well on the shop and makes it even more inviting for everyone else, and we can do our part. Number 10, bringing food or drinks into the shop. Here's the scenario. A customer entered the shop with a large iced coffee and set it on a fabric cutting table. Another shopper, unaware of the drink, placed her bolts of fabric on the table to be cut and knocked over that coffee. The lid came off. The coffee spilled everywhere and it soaked several bolts of fabric. Oh my goodness sakes. Do this instead. First of all, avoid bringing food or drinks into a quilt shop. Leave them in your car. Finish them before you come in. Quilt shops are filled with delicate, absorbent materials, and keeping them safe means keeping drinks out. Even a small spill can permanently damage expensive fabric and really ruin inventory. Number 11. Anyone who's worked retail can relate to this, whether it's a fabric shop or any place else. Ignoring store hours. Here's the scenario. The shop closes at 6 p.m. It's clearly posted on the door, but especially during shop hop season, a familiar scene plays out. A customer rushes in at 5:59 saying, "I'll be just a minute," and stays for 25 minutes. Or someone already inside loses track of time and keeps shopping well past closing time. The shop owner, not wanting to seem rude, often stays late, but many times the customer doesn't even make a purchase. So do this instead. First of all, try to arrive with enough time to browse without rushing the staff. If you're running late, call ahead and ask if it's okay to stop in. Why does that matter? Shop staff have end-of-day tasks and personal lives. Staying late with no notice, especially without buying anything, really can be discouraging and disruptive. Respecting posted hours shows appreciation for the time and the effort that goes into running the shop. Number 12, staying on the phone while being helped. If you've worked any kind of a job where you're dealing with the public, you know what this means. Here's the scenario. One quilt shop owner said that some customers stay on the phone while shopping, during cutting, and even at checkout. They speak loudly, they ignore the staff trying to assist them, and really they disrupt the calm shopping environment for others. One customer, she said, remained on a call the entire time her fabric was being cut without acknowledging the clerk at all. So, do this instead. If you need to take a call, which sometimes we do, step outside or pause the conversation while you're being helped. Why does that matter? It's difficult for staff to assist you properly if you're distracted. And it's really inconsiderate to those around you. Giving your full attention shows respect, and it really helps keep the shop environment peaceful and friendly for everyone. Number 13, taking photos of patterns instead of buying them. Oh my goodness. Here's the scenario. A quilt shop owner watched as a customer took photos of several quilts displayed in the quilt shop. She didn't ask if there were patterns available, didn't buy anything, and gave no indication that she already owned the patterns or was simply looking for color inspiration. It really appeared she planned to recreate the quilts from the photos without purchasing the pattern. That's called stealing. Do this instead. Support designers and shop owners by respecting pattern copyrights. If you're interested, ask for the pattern name, jot it down, or see if the shop has a flyer or a sample card you can take. Why does that matter? Pattern sales are a key source of income for quilt shops and for designers. Taking photos to recreate a quilt without buying the pattern undermines their work, and it makes it harder for them to continue creating the designs we all love. Number 14, taking up staff time without buying anything. So here's another great scenario. A customer came in with a pattern and asked a staff member for help choosing fabrics, planning the layout, and navigating the tricky parts of the project. She'd already read through the pattern and she saw where she was going to have difficulty. After nearly an hour of personalized assistance from the staff member, the customer said thank you, snapped a photo of the fabric choices, and walked out of the store without buying a thing. So, do this instead. If you're planning to return later to purchase, let the staff know. But if you have no intention of buying from the shop and are only seeking free advice, it's best to be respectful and not take up the staff time. Why does it matter? Staff expertise is part of what makes the quilt shop so valuable. Their time and knowledge are shared in the hope of making a sale. Even if you decide not to buy everything discussed, consider making a small purchase to show appreciation for the help you received. It's a simple act of respect that supports the shop and its team. Now, I will tell you, most shops, if you run in and you have a question or you need some help, the staff is more than happy to answer your questions, even if you don't buy anything. But what we're talking about here is someone that's really taking advantage of the staff for a long period of time and then not supporting them at all when it comes to purchasing items from that store. And our final number 15, sitting in on classes without paying. So here's the scenario. A quilt shop was hosting a class in a section of their store, kind of way in the back. Though the area was somewhat separated from the rest of the shop, it really was still visible and you could hear what was going on from the main floor. So one shopper lingered near the class, intentionally watching and listening for over an hour without registering for the class or paying for the class. So do this instead. If the class interests you, ask about future sessions or how to sign up. Don't try to observe without enrolling. Why does that matter? Classes help support both the shop and the instructor. Even if you're not in a seat, occupying space and absorbing the content without paying is really unfair to those who did. Your participation has value. Respect it. And there you have it. 15 things quilt shop owners wish more of us knew. If a few of these made you smile or cringe or think, ooh, I've done that, you're not alone. This wasn't about calling anyone out. It's about awareness, community, and really preserving the special connection we have with our local quilt shops. A little kindness and courtesy go a long way in keeping these creative havens thriving. Whether it's asking before snapping a photo, keeping food and drinks outside, or just showing up before closing time, it all adds up to a more joyful experience for everyone, shoppers and shop owners alike. If you're a quilt shop owner and you've got your own stories or tips to share, drop them in the comments. I'd love to feature them in a follow-up video, or you can email me, mary@joyfulandmaryquilting.com. And if you've learned something new today, give this video a like and share it with your quilting friends. Let's spread the word, especially as shop hop season is starting, that one good habit at a time will make our experiences in our quilt shops that much more positive. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I'm always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry.